Welcome to my 1 minute to wow video tutorial. This is Mary Fish with Stampin' Pretty. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and my blog is stampinpretty.com. I sell the Stampin' Up! Products that you see today and you can purchase them very conveniently online on my blog. I shared this card this week and I had a lot of great feedback. Thank you so much. I cherish your comments and your emails. And many of you asked me about how I did this inlaid look. Well, the good news is that it's really easy, and I'm going to show you a little variation on it to show you extra versatility and fun when you use these dies. And the dies that I'm referring to are the Rose Garden dies from Stampin' Up! Absolutely gorgeous, but I'm going to keep things simple today, and I'm just going to grab this little stem, and we're going to start out by creating just the negative portion. So you can see from this card, we're just using the perfect plum to create the outline, and then the interior area will be the second piece that we cut. Very simple and easy, and I've got my big shot. And I start out with my magnetic platform. You can also use a precision plate. I'm going to use the magnetic platform because this particular design relies on me keeping this die in place on its trip through the big shot. So I can still move it around, but it does keep it in place. You can use a sticky note as well. This just keeps things kind of neat and tidy for me. And then here's my big shot that's probably going to look really big on this tiny little screen. But let's zip it on through. I love the big shot. Frankly, I love that it doesn't have electronic cords or a lot of complications that go with it. I love the designs I see out there with some of the fancier machines, but I gotta tell you, I love the simplicity of the big shot. So I'm going to take this, set it aside, and I'm going to get the die brush that Stampin' Up! Offers, and this is easily coming out of here, so we don't have to worry about that. But these little tiny holes are designed to work with this little die brush. So I'm just gonna run it through, and don't throw out the little sponge piece. I did that at first and had to do a small dumpster dive to get it out. But that's gonna basically pop it out of the die as well as remove the little bits that we're not going to be necessarily using. Now I'm not using this stem. We're going to use a contrasting color. In this card I used Elegant Eggplant, and for this new card we are going to use Melon Mambo. And so this one doesn't matter quite so much where I place it because I'm just going to use the stem portion. I'm going to run this through my big shot. This is actually my original big shot. I must have purchased it 7 years ago and it works like a champ. Again, another thing I like. Another tip for you on the magnetic platform, you will want to make sure that at least your bottom plate is flat, and ideally the second, so that you can get a good contact between the die above the cutting plate and the magnetic platform below. Just a tip for you. I consider these disposable, so I know that I'm going to periodically need to replace them if they get warped and so forth. So again, I am going to use, here are my little bits from the Perfectly Plum one, and I'm going to use my die brush. This should come right out of there. Again, I can make a second card using that one, but I'm going to go in, and again, it's just going to help me just loosen everything so I don't have to paper pierce the whole thing, and it's just going to pop right out. So now you can see where I'm going with this. I am going to layer it like this, and this is going to be my inlaid piece. So instead of Elegant Eggplant that I used here as my contrast, I'm going to use the pink, and I think that looks really great. So you're probably saying, well, how are you keeping that in there? So I'll show you. It's a lot easier than you might think. Just get it to fit in there. I'm going to just use a little snail. And I'm just going to go like this on the edges that aren't open and just let it meld in together. That's how I did it. It's not too fancy, is it? And hopefully if I have a little on the other side, I can always clean it up. But I'm going to actually do the outside areas as well, because I'm going to go ahead and layer this for you. I'm just going to check and make sure there's no adhesive showing. And then I am going to layer that on this piece. So now the white below becomes an element of the card, and it really pops out. I think it's just lovely. So we did this pink version that I think really works well. Sometimes you get, I call them my little furries. I'll use a paper piercing tool just to get some of those little loose bits out from the die. So I usually keep my paper piercing tool handy just to clean that up a little bit. I love that. So again, what a nice difference. There's one of my little furries. That's just a nice difference. It's a nice change up from the Elegant Eggplant, which is more of a tone-on-tone feel, to something even a little brighter and more interesting. Now the stamp set that I used for the Hello Spring card, which is right here, and the thank you that I'm going to use right now are from Circle of Spring. Great elements, perfect timing, right? And then I'm going to, I already pre-stamped in Melon Mambo. If I say Mambo, I apologize. That goes back to a cartoon from when I was a kid. Melon Mambo, that I can go in with my 1 1/4 inch circle punch and just pop this out. So again, I'm just playing with the contrast in colors, and I think this is really, really pretty. I like both versions, and I love variety. And so you can do either one of these. I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on here to pop it up. And I am just going to layer that in. It looks good right there, but for fun, I'm going to use some of these It's My Party enamel dots. They have some that are actually in Melon Mambo. And I like to use my snips to put these on. So I just go in, put a little fuzzy on there. I'm going to go in and pop it up. And I'm going to lay it down right about there. This just gives it a little edgier look than the other one. Again, I'm just using the large ones, but you could do large, small. And then I do the bottom one. Okay. And I'm going to do one last one right in the middle. Now that I can tell the middle, if it cooperates with me, I'm going to add that right there. How does that look, everybody? I hope it looks good. If I need to zhuzh it, I do. Just a little bit to the left. I can adjust that when I'm done. But now you can see how this card transforms to this card with just that bright and lovely touch. And I'll mat this about 1/4 inch more with Perfect Plum, and then I'll layer it on some of our thick Whisper White. This measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that will get me to the finish line for a new look, that great inlaid style. And thank you so much for joining me for my 1 Minute to Wow video tutorial. Stop by my blog. I post every single day with new ideas, Stampin' Up! Specials, and so much more. Thank you, and bye-bye.